Imagine this for a moment. You're a young child in 1996, raised on some old school TV classics, but two in particular, with A Muppet Show and Sesame Street, creations from the mind of legendary puppeteer Jim Henson. You hear word of a new Muppet movie in the works, and it will be coming out with a video game on PC. You are the happiest boy in the world at that point, and cannot wait for this release. The movie and tie-in game were Muppet Treasure Island. Treasure Island is an original story from Robert Louis Stevenson and features the story of Jim Hawkins as he goes from a young boy with nothing going in his life to becoming part of a crew destined for an island with a legendary treasure. The original story was adapted into two different films in 1950 and 1990 before the Muppets would take their go at it later on. The main ideas of the story remain the same, with some elements taken liberties with, as the Muppets had to include their classic brand of comedy to liven things up. The game is an interesting piece in comparison to the film. Where the movie is considered one of the greatest children's films of all time, the game has been almost forgotten by a lot of the fan base. The game itself is not a one-to-one accurate portrayal of the film, and instead is a point-and-click adventure that puts you, the player, in the role of Jim Hawkins. The game does also see the return of celebrity cameos, which I will reveal later on, and every single Muppet that appears in the film, bar a couple, like Dead Tom. Sadly, Dead Tom didn't make it. Rest in peace, Dead Tom.
Long John, shot him!
There is, however, one Muppet that was made specifically for the game and, as far as I'm aware, has not shown up in any Muppet media outside of it. This is Stevenson, the parrot, who acts as your guide and inventory around the game. He has his own quips as you explore the many locations of the game, most of which you could completely miss out on unless you interact with him regularly. I would love to see Stevenson come back in some way or form, heck, even if it was in the background of a Muppet short or something.
Hey Hawkins, nice to see you again!
Anyway, what made this game so iconic to me as a kid, and why do I think you should give it a shot if you are a fan of the Muppets, point-and-click adventures, or just classic games? Let's dive into my review and find out. Warning! I will be going over the major story of the game, as well as some elements of the movie. If you have not seen or played these yet, and wish to do so with no spoilers, then I highly recommend trying them out first before carrying on with this video. The game in 1996 was split into 3 discs, each one sharing a new location for you to explore. For the sake of this review, you will be watching footage from my live stream of the game, where I was able to play it using DOSBox. I will put a link below to the page that has this game, as well as many other classic titles you can play on your modern PC. Now, when you boot up the game, you are welcomed with a large studio door. Clicking play and heading inside welcomes you to the studio set, where Stevenson welcomes you and walks you through what you can do, such as starting a new game, closing the game, and picking a specific world to explore. When you select new game, you are welcomed with a wonderful cutscene involving Kermit, Fozzie, and Stevenson, as well as the director filling you in on some of the game's basics before diving straight in. You get ready for the opening as Kermit kicks everything off, and thus the game introduction begins playing. What a lovely welcome to immerse yourself into the game. You are fully on board with the idea of being part of the crew, making your own version of Muppet Treasure Island, alongside the iconic characters. It also made me teary-eyed on my playthrough, not just with the nostalgia, but also with hearing Jim Henson's performance of Kermit the Frog once again. Rest in peace, Jim. After the intro, you start your adventure in the Benbow Inn as you see Billy Bones, played by the comedian Billy Connolly, retelling one of his stories of Captain Flint and the treasure map to Treasure Island. You also meet Gonzo and Rizzo, who will join you as the go-to comedy duo throughout your adventure. From here, the game officially begins, and you can interact with all sorts. Anything that can be highlighted can be clicked on and activate a scene. Sometimes you can click them multiple times to activate different events, and other times you cannot. It is also key to note that some interactables also link into finding one of the game's secrets, which I'll go into in just a moment. Heading outside of the Benbow will give you a better look at Billy Bones' old crewmate, Blind Pew, who's stalking the building alongside some of the other pirates. You can find 2 things of note outside: a key and a message in a bottle. The message in the bottle is one of the key elements of the game, teasing a secret you must unlock. Clicking on the message in the bottle unrolls it against the screen and summons the ghostly voice of Captain Flint himself. telling you about his adventure. There are a few of these dotted throughout the game, giving you a hint towards 4 stones you must collect in your adventure. These 4 stones represent the directions on a compass: north, south, east, and west. You will normally find these by interacting with specific areas of the game or completing minigames. After picking up the key, we head upstairs and follow Billy Bones into his room, who's crying out about the Black Spot, the legendary cursed pirate gift that marks you for death. In his room, you can find the first stone early if you interact with the furnace. You also see a chest. Head towards it, unlock it with the key, and voila, it's Billy Bones' treasure, complete with items you may have seen pulled from the same chest in the movie. At the chest bottom, you have the treasure map to Treasure Island, which emits the laugh of Captain Flint once you obtain it. It is not all brilliant, however, as the pirates are now in the Benbow trying to knock down the door to Billy's room, and a convenient piece of dynamite from Billy's chest is now lit and about to blow. Only one option: jump out the window to the cart below. When you do this, you see Blind Pew and his cronies break into the room as it explodes. Gonzo and Rizzo crash onto the cart, covering you in molasses. Although you cannot see, Rizzo takes his time to sing 99 Pieces of Cheese on the Wall as you journey towards Bristol. The opening section of the game is straightforward but engaging, fully immersing yourself into the movie. However, you'll start to notice that although this is technically a point-and-click adventure, the adventure itself is very linear, with barely any gameplay elements, unlike other popular games like the Monkey Island series. The basic gameplay, however, can already be overshadowed by the game's acting and the Muppets comedy, which is always on point. After a quick transition, Rizzo ends his song, and we are in Bristol. We get to wipe the molasses off of us and see the new area around us. The plan now is to talk to the Squire's half-wit son, played by Fozzie Bear, and claim the seal of passage in order to get to our ship, the Hispaniola. Only, there's one problem. The Squire's aide advises that our current outfit isn't up to scratch. Luckily, Stevenson gets us a job at the local clothes store, which will give us a gold doubloon every time we fire their pie launcher at a pesky pirate, but you will lose one every time you hit a customer. This minigame itself has 3 different modes the more you play it. First, you either see a pirate or a customer with an appropriate audio cue to let you know who is coming. Then, the character going across the screen speed up, making your timing slightly harder. Finally, the audio cues are gone completely and replaced with a jingle that has all the characters now popping in from different sides of the window in front of you. I have literally spent hours playing this minigame just to grind up to 99 doubloons out of sheer fun. Is it worth grinding that far? No, as the most expensive outfits you can buy are only 13 doubloons. When you are satisfied, you can look over to the shop and buy your outfits that are all goofy, from a business suit to a ballerina, and even a superhero to a spaceman. Get your new clothes, and voila, you can squeak to the Squire. However, before you go straight back, why don't we pop it into the Eyeglass Inn next door? An exclusive area that you can only enter if you wear an eye patch corresponding to your outfit. You do not need one of the new outfits to enter, but I would advise coming here before meeting the Squire, as you can miss out on some fun interactions. Whilst inside the inn, you can hear the pianist playing some classic pirate-style tracks, with some of the Muppet characters dancing along. You can approach the piano and Dr. Teeth will let you play it yourself, and you can keep any of the tips that you make. You can press in the buttons in the middle of the piano to automatically play music, or you can set an instrument up and start clicking along. This is completely optional, but the more you play, the more tips you get from our Muppet patrons. Eventually, after enough tips, you'll see one of the 4 stones appear before you. As a fun way to leave the inn, why not remove your eye patch and hear everyone in shock as they kick you out? Now we are ready. Head back to the Squire's house, and if you look up at his window before approaching the door, you can find yet another of the 4 stones. If you miss this one here, you'll be able to get it in a minigame later on. Approach the door and the aide opens it to reveal Fozzie. After a little chat, you show him the map and he gives you the seal of passage. You can now head over to the ship and join the crew after interacting with the first mate, Mr. Arrow, played by Sam the Eagle. Bristol is an absolute blast with plenty of interactables for you to enjoy, as well as some that show more of the pirate characters skulking about. The game's comedy and immersion really picks up an extra notch as you head into Disc 2, and the Hispaniola, captained by the legend himself, Kermit, or better known as Captain Smollett in the world of Muppet Treasure Island. Whilst on the ship, Kermit gives you a series of tasks to accomplish, first of which is to help Long John Silver in the galley. Heading down there will introduce you to the legendary actor himself, Tim Curry, reprising his role as the one-legged man. He requires your help to make an apple tart, and informs you to ring the bell once you are done. Once he leaves you, you will have a series of apples rolled in front of you. Simply pick them up and drop them into the tart pastry. Simple, right?
Right, wrong, haha!
Rizzo is in the pastry, eating them up as you try to fill it up. The longer you wait, the faster he eats up. Luckily, once you put all the apples in, Rizzo is chock full of apples and lets you finish. First task done. Next we head around to help Gonzo load the jolly boat, using his nose to hook cargo onto. Through the opening to the front of the ship, you have the cannon, which you will need to fire. You simply load up the ammo and random targets will swim across. Hit enough of them and Kermit will congratulate you. Another task complete. Carry through and Mr. Arrow will task you to drop the anchor. Do so and you see a funny scene with Beaker flying through the sky. Lastly, we have to build our own ship model in the captain's quarters. Before you go to the bottom right hand corner to do this, have a look at the desk. Here you have a mini game you can play, where you match the flags. Match enough of them and you are graced with a screenshot from the game featuring some of the characters. If you missed out on one of the stones in Bristol, you can get it here if you play the game long enough. Back to the ship model, you literally take pieces of a ship from the drawers and get educated on what every part of a ship is and what it does. It is quirky learning about the parts of a ship. If you have completed all of your tasks, you can head outside to the night sky, where both the captain and Long John Silver will introduce you to the constellations. It is key to know, however, you can do this twice, once with Long John and once with Kermit, hearing different stories when you do. When this is complete, you are approached by Mr. Arrow, who takes you to bed to sleep for the night. Talk about immersive. For a basic 1996 adventure, this is where you'll see a lot of a personality shine, and have some fun mini-games to play around with as you want. The acting of the Muppets as well as Tim Curry also shines here, leading on to the next and final part of the game. You are abruptly awakened in the morning and overhear the pirates and Long John about their plan to take over the ship and claim the treasure. The captain is aware and requires you to guide the ship to Treasure Island by turning the wheel, port and starboard according to the captain's commands. Eventually you will see Treasure Island in the distance. And the plan is set. We'll let the pirates go to the island and abandon them there. Sounds simple, right?
Right, wrong, haha!
You head down to the deck as Long John asks you to grab his crutch. Whether you do this or not, he calls out for his boys and Mad Monty blindfolds you. You are now kidnapped and taken over to the island for the final part and final disc of the game. After a small instrumental of Professional Pirate from the movie, you are welcomed by Long John, now donning his flamboyant pirate attire, as you are on the island. Staying still here is not an option, as you can head deep into the jungle to run away from the pirates. Running in, Gonzo and Rizzo will distract the pirates as you keep exploring for the treasure. You can interact with the wall in front, but you only have 3 of the stones needed to get through. To get the final stone, simply go back to the beach you started at and watch some of the locals from the pig tribe show up, as well as a delightful welcome to the legendary Miss Piggy, playing Benjamina Gunn. After the scenes, the final stone is shot in front of you. The treasure is finally in sight. I always found it a little disheartening that the final stone is just given to you without any game or interactable to mess about with. It always gives me a lacking feeling of what we could have gotten if there was a little imagination here. Maybe even a mini rhythm game interacting with drums to bring up Miss Piggy? I don't know. With all 4 stones in hand, you can approach the wall as Captain Flint's ghostly voice tells you to put them in the right positions. After that, you have another minigame in front of you. You must get the 4 doubloons into the middle square to unlock the passage. After some fiddling around, you can open the way, and the pirates join up with you as you enter the treasure cave. You see all the digging has been done, and Long John asks you to open up the chests. One by one, you see they are all empty, and the pirates leave to find where the treasure has gone. Looking further to the right after they leave you, see a set of skulls up a wall. The bottom one will give you a passphrase, which is different every time you play, whilst the other skulls recite one word of that phrase. Get them to repeat the phrase properly and you have found the secret passage to Miss Piggy's hut. From here you have another minigame where you match the gemstones together, but if you can find and match the diamonds, you can gain access to the final chamber. What is in this final chamber? The treasure! Miss Piggy and Kermit reunite in happiness as you can interact with the treasure and see it zoom off to the ship. The game is not over, however, as you have one mini-game left. You see Long John organising the wealth of gold as the pirates attack. Your cursor changes into a coconut as you are tasked with bonking the pirates as fast as you can. Bonk them enough and you take back the Hispaniola and claim the treasure. You win! However, after seeing the treasure into the ship, you are given one final prize. A chest will come up from the ground, and looking inside will reward you with clips from the movie that you can watch and enjoy. Climb on board the ship, see the last few interactions with the Muppet crew, and the credits will start to roll, with Sailing for Adventure playing in the background from the movie. The ending, although fast, is just as fun and interactable. Plenty of interactions can be missed here, so be sure to take your time and click on those surfaces multiple times in order to get all the characters and wacky moments. The ending is a satisfying conclusion to a very simple adventure that you can always go back to however many times you wish. The game itself is just that even. A very simple adventure. Don't expect any in-depth character design or challenges, but instead expect a fun and enjoyable ride with the Muppets. It's worth every minute of your time. If you like the look of the game, I highly recommend picking it up and trying it yourself. Perfect as well as an interactable game for the young kids out there if you want to give them a fortnight for an odd couple of hours. But with that being said, that is all I have. A look into one of my nostalgic childhood classic games. What do you think about the game? Will you try it yourself? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and why don't you subscribe for more videos coming soon. You may also want to watch my playthrough of the game, which will be uploaded to the channel with its own playlist, which you will see a card for here. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you on the next adventure. Stay safe, stay awesome, and most importantly, stay explosive. I will be seeing you next time. Yo-ho, ya jolly yo-ho, har!